Okay, guys, welcome back to week 2. So, for week 2, we are going to focus on functions, so identifying a function. So, let's go back to what is a function. A function means that each output has only one input. So, if you remember, we started the lesson on functions thinking about our bodies. Our body is a function, our stomach, our digestive system. So when I eat something, that is my input, okay? I can input many different things. I can input different types of food, okay? But for that one food, I'm only going to get one output. There's only going to be one solution, okay? So let's say, for example, I ate a banana for breakfast. I eat the banana, that's my input. My stomach, my digestive system does all of the work that it needs to do. It functions properly. And then there's going to be an output. Banana, digestive system, output, right? So go back to how we said, well, what if I had different outputs? Can you have different outputs? Well, you can have a different output, but each output can only have one input. So we're going to look at that in a second. But just remember, my X value is my input and my Y value is my output. Every X can only have one Y, but a Y can be responsible for multiple. So we'll get into that in a second, okay? So let's look at what it looks like as a table and ordered pairs. All right, so here's our example of a table. We have -2 and 7, -1 and 1, 0 and 1, 1 and 1, 2 and 7. Whenever you are looking at a table, the only thing you need to focus on, okay, is does each output have one input? This should actually say input, not output. There we go. Each input has one output. So this -2 has a 7. Do we see -2 anywhere else? No. This -1 has a 1. Do we see -1 anywhere else up here in our inputs? No. 0, that's the only 0. +1, that's the only +1. And 2, that's the only +2. But Miss Cinderella, there's a 1 right here. Remember, our X value is our input. We're only looking at our input. Do we see our X value more than once? Does it have more than one value? No. Do we see it more than one time? No. None of these numbers repeat. So if the X does not repeat, it's a function. So this one, I'm going to say, yes, that is a function. Let's look at ordered pairs. For ordered pairs, I'm only looking at my X values. So these are my X values. Remember, the first value is my X. Do we see any numbers that repeat? Yes. This number and this number repeats. So can this be a function? No, it cannot. Okay? You're only looking at your X values and seeing if there is a number that repeats itself. Okay? What about when I'm looking at an equation? For an equation, we have y equals x to the second power. Well, if I were to make a table like up here, I would notice that my y will always have an x value. the x value is not going to repeat. So this is a yes. Look down here. We have a y to the second power. Whenever you have your y to the second power, it will not be a function. So if you don't remember anything else, remember that. If my y has an exponent, it could be a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, infinity. If your y has an exponent, it will not be a function. Now, normally we would take this equation and we would turn it into slope-intercept form, which would be our y equals mx plus b. We don't need to do all that, okay? We're not going to do all that for this. All we're going to focus on is, does the y have an exponent? Yes, it does. Therefore, that also is not a function, okay? Lastly, we're going to look at a graph. So if I drew a graph like this, oops, let me do a straight line. As long as it passes the origin, or, well, now let me back up. Not, because some of them can pass through the origin and it may not be a function. So this is what we're going to do. I need you to remember when we did the vertical line test. We did the vertical line test. Vertical line test says I'm going to take my line and I'm going to draw lines through it. And I'm going to stay on my coordinate grid lines. So stay on your coordinate grid lines. That's the easiest way to do it. How many times did my black line cross my red line? I crossed here, 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 and here. At any point, did any of my black lines pass through my red line twice or more than one time? No. So this is a function because it passed the vertical line test. We did this already, remember, this is nothing new, it's just review, okay? Let's look at a different line. If I did a line that looks like, let's see here. Let's do one like this. Okay. If I drew a line like that, will this pass the vertical line test? Let's see. Okay. Okay. So if I look, when I pass this way, does it pass the vertical line test? Yes. Because look, here, 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 here. Each one only has one point along the line, which means yes, it will pass my vertical line test. Let's look at one more. Will this pass my vertical line test? We're going to start here. Right away, what do you notice? Right away, what do we notice? 1, 2. What that means is this will never pass our vertical line test, so it is not a function. So do the vertical line test. When you're asked whether a graph is a function or not, do the vertical line test. That will tell you whether it is a function or whether it is not a function, okay? Let's look at like when we think about the vertical line test and we're talking about functions, we've done a lot with, oh, it has to pass through the origin, or it has to be a straight line. Well, we're not talking about whether it's linear or not, okay? We're talking about whether it's a function or not. So think back. Something can be non-linear, but still be a function, okay? For example, a line that does this. This is not a linear line, right? It's not linear because it's not a straight line. However, it is a function because if I drew a line, it only passes through one time. So this is a function. It's just not a linear function, but it is still a function. It still will work. Just like your stomach will still work. So if you have to review this video. The work for the assignment goes along with the notes that we took back in quarter 2. I want to say it was titled Identifying Functions. That would be the one that goes with this one. So this would be Identifying Functions. The next video is going to be Comparing Functions. That's when we're going to talk about slope. So if you need to, pause the video, rewind the video. Just like last week, on Khan Academy, you can go on there, and there are hints as well as videos embedded in the assignment. Okay? If you have questions, make sure that you ask them. Don't just guess. Guessing does not help you. Make sure you're asking questions. I am available from 9 to 1, Monday through Friday. You need to ask me those questions so that I can help you. Okay? And I will see you guys on the next video.